These right here are some of the most popular and the strongest Pokemon in all of Kanto. But for years, I've always wondered, what would an adventure feel like if someone used what could be one of the weakest teams in Generation 1? And that somebody is me. I'm asking that question about myself. So I set off in Pokemon FireRed with two goals. One, to beat the Kanto Elite Four, of course, and secondly, to beat them with what could possibly be one of the worst teams to use in the entire generation. I want to know how difficult this can be and how many surprises will be along the way. But this isn't just some random playthrough of FireRed, no. This is a story of Kanto's underdogs and proving that anybody can make it in this world. This is the worst team in FireRed challenge.
I'm unknown. Like the comic, green fatigue's chronic. Drive it, my sonic. Onslaught is tonic. Rap produces colic. Vampires get garlic.
Before we truly start in our journey, I made a couple of ground rules to truly make this as interesting as a challenge possible, but realistic enough as well. The first rule is I have to play the game by normal standards. No speeding up, no external help, and no glitches. I want this to be as real as a playthrough as possible. Our second rule is if I find a full odd shiny Pokemon, no matter what it is, I have to add it to my party immediately and keep it how it is, that way, no matter what the evolution, Pokemon, or the level is. The third rule, every Pokemon I will use today has to come from a different type of catch. For example, if I catch a Pokemon from a wild area on the map, I can't do that again. Or a forest, or the factory, or a cave. If I get a traded Pokemon either, I can't use another traded Pokemon. And the fourth and final rule is if I don't beat the Elite Four by 24 in-game hours, then I have to walk barefoot on rat traps. I'm actually not kidding, unfortunately. So now that the rules are set, we finally get to dive right into an adventure and experience I've never quite had before. At the beginning, we pick Bulbasaur as our starter and immediately battle our new rival named America, because right now, nothing is scarier than such. After losing to America and getting into town for the first time, we grab Oak's parcel, deliver it back to the professor, and grab our Pokédex and our town map before officially leaving Pallet Town. Before we snatch our real first teammate though, I wanted to explain a little bit about our Bulbasaur pick and how it affects our adventure a little more than you may think. Bulbasaur has always been considered the weakest out of the Generation 1 starters, but also as starter history goes, typically the rival chooses the opposing starter, so whichever one can easily take out the type that you picked. So since we picked Bulbasaur, although I can't evolve him or even use him right now, our rival America has to choose Charmander, which will eventually become Charizard and be the hardest starter to fight against later on. So I'm trying these small extra ways to make this even more challenging for myself, dear God. But our first real catch happens to be right here in our Viridian Forest, a Caterpie which we named Monarch. The first few routes has quite a selection of okayish Pokemon. I thought about Beedrill, Pidgeot, Raticate, and so on. Some of these early Pokemon actually evolve into some awesome late game mons though. Primeape, Fearow, Nidoking, and of course our starter all evolve into fantastic offensive hitters late game. Nidoking arguably is better than my entire team combined, but we'll discover them later. After listing some of the other potential Pokemon around here, it was really off to a couple factors. One being I have to follow the third rule of our challenge, which is to catch each of our team members in different ways, so we can only catch one from the forest and none of the other team members can be from this forest. And I also heavily thought about getting Beedrill first, but with having pretty much the exact same base stats as Butterfree, I thought in this generation, if I remembered correctly, Beedrill has better stab moves and better bug type moves, so naturally, I just chose Caterpie for the future psychic moves and special moves that I have planned instead. So everybody, welcome our first member of the party, Monarch. After that, I caught a Spearow, and some of you might be able to guess why we will need him later. We won't have him permanently on the team, but we'll use him for the time being, especially because this can help us get through Caterpie and his awkward stage as Metapod, and we can box him immediately right when we get Monarch to his fully evolved Butterfree stage. We get our revenge on America from earlier, we traveled through the Viridian Forest easier than I thought, and we grinded a little bit more just so we can get ready to fight the first gym leader, Brock, in Pewter City. Pewter City is a quaint visit, home of the Rock-type gym and the beautiful Museum of Science, and it's really close to Mount Moon. But we're here on a special mission to see Brock. I started in this fight with Monarch at level 12, super curious to see if this would be enough to survive. We took Geodude out pretty easily, which I was excited for, but Brock's Onix did Rock Smash back to back, totally taking me out. I was in shock. The first real section of the challenge and we just lost. I don't think I've ever lost to Brock before, so I had to take a step back and grind a bit before I could dare face him again. Is what I thought to myself before I immediately turned around out of spite and went right back to fight him. I did gain one more level luckily, but my confidence was way higher the second time in, and after surviving another Rock Smash, I got Onix poisoned and a nice confusion surprisingly took him out, securing our first achievement in our adventure, the Boulder Badge. As we continued through some trainers right outside of the Pewter City and running all the way through Mount Moon, this is where I started to really remember Butterfree's strong will at the start of the Generation 1 early games. Confusion is killing often, Poison Powder is decent to have this early on, and especially Sleep Powder, mostly when I'm remembering how broken the sleep cycle is in earlier games, mainly Gen 1. Sleep Powder not only works often to hit, but typically keeps the opponents asleep for at the very least 3 to 5 turns, allowing this single Pokemon to be my only party member easily for a while. But after arriving into Cerulean City, a beautiful water-filled city home of the bike shop, the berry powdered man that seems awfully drug-like, and lots of trainers surrounding, and of course, the original iconic water trainer, Misty. But with such a new environment, I already started to feel a bit lonely. Whether it was fully my emotion or my empathy for Monarch, a small root appeared in my chest, growing with loneliness and fear. Since, for what Pokemon I have planned on our expedition in the future, we won't get another Mon for at least another gym, meaning I have to hope and pray and train to take out Misty, with Monarch alone. My first go around with Misty was up to the gods. I put Staryu to sleep, which was good. He confused Monarch and healed right back up. While nothing crazy, I was already starting to see the signs of this challenge. I poisoned the Staryu, he started rising his defense and kept me confused in my place, and it just continued like this for multiple turns. After a couple more recovers on Staryu's end, he continued to be poisoned, slowly chipping away at his starfish shell, which allowed me to overtake him just enough to fight through another confusion, taking him out finally after actually a dozen turns. Misty left me in rough shape going into Starmie, thinking I could barely keep up and get an edge on him though. I quickly proved to be wildly mistaken and got knocked out instantly. If there was one thing that always cheers me up after a ravaging defeat, it's getting back up and trying again. I quickly had to grind. A Starmie couldn't be that much more powerful than me already, right? I can't let that happen. So we fought America again in front of the bridge, defeating his multiple Pokemon pretty easy enough and led us on our way. Cue the fucking training montage. After 10 more levels added to Monarch's back, I was still not strong enough. What? Was this challenge always going to be this frustrating? Is it even worth it to continue if my single Pokemon is struggling only at Gym 2, 10 levels higher than last time? Listen, if there's anything I learned from watching Cobra Kai, is that I'm the only one that can get myself up when I'm down. No one else. And as the final hit of the battle goes, we did it. The Cascade Badge. As my sensei always said, everyone has to beat a 10-year-old girl at one point, so I think it's safe to say we made you proud. With my efforts in Cerulean City, battling Misty and their trainers, I started to shift my perspective a little bit for this run. I was really going to have to optimize movesets and my Monarch to the best of its ability alongside just over-leveling it as well. Since one of these alone is not enough for my team to make it, but after some much needed rest, we can now make our way to Vermilion City, a wonderful city with a beautiful port famous for the SSN that we graciously got a ticket from Bill earlier. It's also home to the Pokemon fan club, where we can finally get that bike voucher. The Diglett Caves lives nearby here, and in Pokemon Yellow, you can get a free Squirtle here, which I always thought was cute. And of course, the American spark of a gym leader is here, the third gym, Lieutenant Surge. An iconic trainer not only in the games, but a character developing mission in the anime with his Raichu against Ash's Pikachu. But as exciting as it all was in this new city, there is actually someone here that we need to see. Remember that Spearow we caught earlier and used a little bit to help our Monarch level up? We actually need him here for a very well-known trade that can happen only in Vermilion. Welcoming our second Pokemon to the team, finally trading our Spearow to Elisa for her Farfetch'd nickname Chiding. Now, with both Monarch and Chiding on our team, I think we have an even better shot at this upcoming gym. And not only does Monarch take the load off a bit from carrying the team alone, they can now become the team leader, inspiring the future of what Kanto will hold. But before we move back onto the training, let's explain why this weird leek bird is considered really weak, but what it can do for our team. Since this challenge and the whole idea of the video was to use lesser than unplayed Pokemon in this region, I chose Farfetch'd for honestly quite a few of them. Not only does our team really need Fly, since we technically are on a time limit, Chiding will also be our partial HM slave for the move Cut. But what really holds Chiding back is his overall stats and variety that a Farfetch'd normally brings to a team as a flying bird Pokemon. Compared to the other main birds in this game, he's just generally unfavorable compared to Pidgeot and Fearow, especially since you are trading Spearow, a much better flying normal type Pokemon, specifically for this Farfetch'd. It feels like a slap on the head. And while Pidgeot might arguably be the most popular main bird thanks to Ash, it's honestly not even as good as Fearow in my opinion. Using an awesome moveset like Drill Peck, Steel Wing, and Return, which offers pretty much what Farfetch'd can do but better with better base stats as well, Farfetch'd doesn't even evolve unlike later generations, while Spearow can easily evolve before you even fight Lieutenant Surge at level 20. And while not being effective towards the electric gym at all, it can offer good stab moves during and from now on until late game. And of course, that's just the argument for the birds alone. Put Chiding up against all of the other birds flying types in Kanto, and just be honest with yourself. Who would you pick out of these options, huh? Or you could be like me in my original Yellow playthrough when I was around 11, and I used 3 Pidgeots on my team for some reason. I don't know why. Anyways, as terrible as I'm making Farfetch'd seem in comparison, this is a story about underdogs. So what is my potential when it comes to Chiding and his power? Well, it's not all entirely as bad as it seems, really. Not only will Chiding offer that Fly as our resident travel member, but he can also utilize stab moves better than a lot of Pokemon can in my opinion. Mainly hoping for Slash in the near future, as well as the infamous Swords Dance to boost our attack power. It could offer some more than decent critical hits. But that's just the beginning. With his ability Keen Eye, it just prevents any loss for accuracy, which is super important for our run and our evasiveness, and specifically something that I think is exclusive to this Pokemon. The held item Stick that raises Farfetch'd critical hit ratio, I think by 5% or something like that. It's pretty low considerably, but unique to this Pokemon. And on top of those unique quirks, Chiding is a traded Pokemon, offering faster experience growth because of it, which means he will most likely be one of our highest level Mons, almost always. So yeah, with some fun tricks in mind, I was happy with our second teammate, and also checking off our third rule I mentioned in the beginning, with each team member caught in a different way, this way meaning the traded Pokemon. So we quickly got acquainted with Chiding as he leveled up from some nearby trainers really quickly, clearing through the SSN trainers as well, even battling our rival America again, and easily winning, making Monarch and Chiding an iconic duo. We took Farfetch'd from level 7 to a whopping 27 in Vermilion City alone. We are highly capable of taking out Lieutenant Surge with ease, but I actually have one slight trick up my sleeve, and it requires a little errand, a small trip back to kind of where it all began. In the corner of Viridian City, once you learn the HM cut from the SS and trip, you can actually access one of the weirdest moves in the game, Dream Eater. Remember earlier when I discussed the different potentials of Beedrill and Butterfree? While both not necessarily great late game Pokemon, the Dream Eater move is the one thing that sets apart these two. With this single move, we can set up an interesting and fairly successful tactic for Monarch, which is honestly the only way he would even survive in the Elite Four. The broken mechanic of Gen 1 Sleep using Sleep Powder, and the strong bulk power of Dream Eater that also heals. Butterfree's Compound Eyes also allows Sleep Powder's accuracy and other moves to hit more often, leading to an unforgettable setup. This will be the power of Monarch. Just you wait. But our team doesn't stop there. After powering up Monarch and finally getting our second Pokemon Chiding, we actually have one more little surprise to catch before the third gym. In the top right corner of the map, coming from Cerulean City, you can actually go the long way through Lavender Town. And although technically we don't need to go there quite yet, there is a Pokemon we need in the tedious rock tunnel. As a kid, I got my hands on a beat-up guidebook for Pokemon Yellow, and I visually remember hating learning the move Flash just to explore the tunnel. So I would just read through the lit-up pictures from the book and basically mapping my own way through the tunnel quickly without any use of TMs or HMs, and using lots of repels because I just hated everything that cave offered. But I'm an adult now, I can't possibly do that same strat. Okay, I'm gonna do the same strat. But unlike my childhood self, there is a Pokemon here that actually sparked one of the first ideas I had for this challenge in the first place. Onix. After searching through the dark for a couple minutes, we actually got to catch our very own Onix, our third addition to the team. Everyone welcome our loud rock lady Quartz. Onix was pretty much the first on my list before I even had a thought of this video. Knowing its intense weakness and lack of viable moves for most of the game, I knew for decades how lackluster Onix really was, and still to this day, it has become. Onix shows up all the way over here in the rock tunnel first, after you have seen already so many better options for your squad by now, making Onix not too desirable at this level. And to add some criminal traits to this fact, Onix has a 5% encounter rate in just the rock tunnel, only on the first floor as well, not even appearing on the other floors. On top of its lower appearance rate, its catch rate is on the lower side too for fairly common Pokemon. With a catch rate I think of either 45 or 50, meaning at low health and even with a status effect on it, which I think is supposed to help the catch rate a ton in Gen 1 games, makes it to where that level 13 Onix I caught when put to sleep at full health and caught with a Great Ball first try was less than 25%. If you add in the fact that Dusk Balls aren't even invented in Generation 1 yet, if I just had a Pokeball on me and no status inflicting moves, doing that same action would make it a 6% catch rate. In comparison, that's considerably worse than most other common Pokemon in the rock tunnel, and it's a similar percentage to if I just put Articuno to sleep at full level 50 health and used a Pokeball. So after all of that, what I'm saying is it's just not worth the effort to catch an Onix. And while it doesn't entirely matter at the time, it's still really important to mention that Onix's base stats is half defense, and the other half is every other stat combined. Yeah, which means his attack, his speed, his special attack, special defense, and his HP makes up less than 60% of his total stats, while his raw defense is the rest. What the fuck? This is unheard of in Kanto. So much so that Onix is still in, I think, the top 5 highest base stat defense Pokemon of all time, 1,000 Pokemon later. And while sure, this is going to be Quartz strength for sure later on, I hope, their low HP and low special defense will be brutal matchups for her in the future. And the attack and the special attack being so low also means that Quartz's offense is as terrible as early game Pokemon essentially. Meaning, besides defense, Monarch has Quartz beat in every other capacity, and this is where our real challenge truly begins. Personally, I have never used Onix before, and for good reason. Onix in my mind is only good for one job, and that's being your first real boss battle in Pokemon. Showcasing that moves from your starter Pokemon can be super effective and fun when you fight against Brock. So now that we definitely have to use Onix, what's my goal with Quartz, and how can I even make this work? Since Quartz is a defensive linebacker, we will be taking advantage of her as a tank. She has hardy nature, which is just absolutely useless to us, I'm pretty sure. I'm no Pokemon expert, obviously, I play for fun, but this is the first time a run that honestly has challenged my knowledge and thought process in a Pokemon game, since we really need it now. But since we have the main tank of the Kanto region, we can use our very useful Screech to lower defense defense, our HM strength for a solid attack later on, and to progress towards the story too, of course. And hopefully we get Earthquake sooner than later to use fight against any ground, rock, fighting, or normal type trainers. We can't evolve to a Steelix sadly, since it just doesn't exist yet in this generation, but we can be a defensive sumo wrestler who screeches to make a Pokemon weak for our next Pokemon to wipe out. And that's really the only strategy I got for Onix, so let's pray this shit works. Nevertheless, going past the long executed discussion of possibly our team's downfall, we took our newly acquired Quartz and tested our might with Lieutenant Surge. And I'm not gonna lie, Raichu took all three of us out. Twice. With Quartz only at level 16, but both Chiding and Monarch over level 30 each, making me believe we could have easily wiped Raichu and his team. But just like Misty, it does go to show, just because you are seemingly ready and stronger than your opponent, these mons are considerably weaker than some of the others that could do as well against our same opponent, even at lower levels for them. That's the challenge that we face. But like my Cobra Kai quote earlier, is that sometimes only I can keep myself up when I fall. We will strike back harder. On our next fight, Quartz actually knocked out Pikachu, and Voltorb is an easy KO of course as well, and Monarch really got to test out Sleep and Dream Eater, working well on Raichu. So third time's the charm, using our team's actual and really only strengths it has to beat Surge's Raichu and get our hands onto the Thunder Badge. In the manga, Lieutenant Surge is a high member in Team Rocket, so I'm glad we beat him. He looks like Guile and I could just never trust him. Right after the third gym, there were a couple trainers and items to grind and grab real quick, a tiny bit of backtracking, and eventually getting to our next major location, Celadon City. My absolute favorite place to visit in all of Kanto. Celadon City is the bright green city of fun and fortune, home to the biggest shopping mall in Kanto full of battling items, TMs and stones, the legendary grass gym with Erica, the colorful casino, and a top secret, but not really because everyone is talking about it, the Team Rocket underground base. Celadon City has always been my favorite. It all started when I got a Jolteon from the department store in Pokemon Yellow when I was like 10 years old. In Celadon, we actually have quite a bit of a checklist that we can't entirely do just yet. We have to beat Erica and get the 4th gym badge, of course, go underground to the Team Rocket base to get the Sylph Scope, we have to get a coin case and gamble a little bit, obviously, and make 200,000 Pokédollars to get the one and only Porygon. Since we barely even half that amount of money right now, we'll just focus on selling a bunch of items whenever we can, grind out any nearby trainers in and around the city, and try to get another member for our team before then. We continued to do lots of gambling, a superb amount of battling, tons of selling, and a shitload of exploring, and soon I finally went to the whimsical horror that is Lavender Town. Lavender Town has a beautiful lavender shade haze over the quaint little place. Growing up, it was always the creepypasta lore-filled town. The theories and the eeriness of the music all combined to create some esoteric lore and fanfiction about the entire place. Whether it was Gary mourning his dead Raticate, or the Cubone's dead mother Marowak wearing her skull as a helmet, as a kid, the truth and fiction coincided effortlessly, aiding to every Kanto journey. But in FireRed now, Lavender Town is a lot easier to digest, and in Let's Go, the graphics and overall hue of the colors makes it so peaceful. Lavender Town is a peaceful, solemn-filled, almost village-like town. Here we have the infamous Pokemon Tower, filled with unfortunate Pokemon graves, and the Namerator also lives in this town as well, and is nicely settled right near a couple docks close to the ocean. We actually find our rival America here, so I guess it's time to take down capitalism once again while he mourns his Raticate. Honestly, his team was pretty cool here at this stage in the game, but unfortunately, not only was Quartz doing super well on her own, Monarch was almost 20 levels higher than his team. I don't think we're losing this time. We grind through the trainers in the Pokemon Tower for some levels, but we don't catch anything here, and we can't even see any of the ghost types yet due to the lack of the Sylph Scope. So after running through the floors, we settle back to Celadon City for that Sylph Scope under the casino. But actually, before we wipe out some grunts, I'm itching for a tough battle. Jumping right in, Erica was always a rough time growing up. Her status effects and overall strength was always a hefty challenge. And while Quartz and Chiding didn't really hit any home runs in this battle, Monarch's dream eating strategy was just way too much for Erica's capabilities, completely wiping her out on our first try, securing the rainbow badge. This is amazing, and while the 4th badge was obtained super easily, now we can finally get through that underground hideout for the Sylph Scope. The grind before this badge had a little problem that only the Rainbow badge could fix. Since Chiding was a traded Pokemon, and we haven't fought the last gym in a while, plus only having 3 members, he was not listening to most of our choices or commands at all. For a couple levels there, Chiding just mocked us and did entirely what he wanted to. But now with Erica's newly gifted badge and level cap higher, Chiding is back to being our critical hit swordsman. We dream-made our way easily through the hideout and had to challenge the terrifying powerhouse leader known as Giovanni. Dude, I'm a big fan of your Pokemon cards. But Giovanni used an Onix like me. He used a Rhyhorn as well and a Kangaskong, all taken out in a 3v3. This is our first time meeting Giovanni before his gym leader fight in the game, and I always found it funny how weak of a team he has here. I'd like to think it's the team he has just lying around in the hideout as a backup team, while his real stronger Pokemon reside at his house or the actual gym, but that's just a theory I have. We do luckily get the Sylph Scope right after though, so we went back to that Pokemon Tower, we fought the Marowak guarding the final floor, and finally saved Mr. Fuji, and he gave us the Pokeflute. We time skip a little bit through the Snorlaxes blocking the path and the bike road. God, I wish I could get a Snorlax right now. But that means we ride into Fuchsia City, home of the poison specialist ninja gym trainer Koga, the rare Pokemon-filled Safari Zone, and the overall wildlife reserve of its city sparks a memorable location. But here, before anything else, we have one goal. Now, while we were in Celadon and I did have a mission to get Porygon, we'll have to wait on that for a bit. But eagerly going straight into the Safari Zone in Fuchsia City, I had a mission to get either one of 2 Pokemon from this challenge, and I told myself whichever one I could catch first would be my new lovely team of 6. The Safari Zone is pouring with super inviting Pokemon to use. Scyther is here, an exclusive to FireRed, and one of my favorites as a kid. Rhyhorn, Kangaskong, Tauros, the really rare Dragonite, and Dratini, so many personal Pokemon I would love to add to my team in a normal playthrough. But as per the challenge, this is about using the lesser valued, weaker Pokemons here. And since I knew I wanted one at the Safari Zone thanks to Rule 3, I was left with only 2 options. Seaking or Chansey. This is really a gay son or thought daughter moment, so just stick with me for a second. I was really not looking forward to either of these Pokemon one bit in all honesty. And as I mentioned, I did tell myself whichever one I could catch first would be the one I would add to the team. Not necessarily the one I see first, but there were some pros and cons to this. One major fact was that Chansey is actually really useful in my opinion, and I didn't just feel right if I were to catch it straight up. Here, let me get my thoughts in order real quick. While researching for this video, I took a lot of consumer and player feedback both alike through dozens and dozens of articles, forums, and my own views on this generation's quirks, the Pokemon, and learning the lowest Mon's base stats as well. Though base stats isn't enough in this challenge, which is why I researched from actual forums and competitive lists themselves. I'm talking hours and hours of learning, and after these 8 or so Pokemon lists I wrote down for viable options, Chansey was the real only outlier here. On one hand, it seemed like the more casual players of Generation 1, both Red and Blue, and FireRed and LeafGreen, Chansey seemed to be an aggravating overall, not worthwhile pick for a team. A mix of being not knowing its moveset properly, it being just generally not as cool as every other normal type in this game, which you can get all before Fuchsia City essentially, and the fact that Chansey is not only a rare Safari encounter, but a difficult one at that. Good luck finding a Chansey or a Dragonair in your first 5 to 10 encounters in the Safari Zone, and then better luck with actually stopping it from fleeing. And especially since, as a kid, I didn't even know what the rocks and berries exactly did in the Safari Zone, not until I was an adult. Finding this as a kid, I assumed that a lot of people didn't even get to use Chansey. But Chansey seemed to be an interesting pick for my team. But after getting to learn a little bit more about Chansey's rep, and then my older knowledge of Blissey and other Pokemon games, I knew something had to give. To me, Chansey is what Snorlax would be if he learned how to be a healing support tank, but not in the tank Onix would be, but more of a tank towards special attack moves, with beautiful HP and awesome healing properties, even so with the attack being outrageously bad, my god. So what I'm saying is, Chansey has big flaws, but I would be dishonest if I acted like Chansey's flaws were all of what they were, and that's just not the case. I think Chansey would be highly useful in the potential champion fight against, let's say, Alakazam, and I'm trying to do this challenge as honestly as possible, with as much realistic diversity in there as well, leaving the one and only Seeking. We've had our chance to catch Goldeen before in a separate ocean, but while searching through the Safari Zone in one of our first rod pools, our beautiful new team member was waiting to be caught by us. Everyone welcome Princess. This is our gay son. I didn't know if I had to explain that earlier. I would appreciate either gay son ... I had to make that clear. But Seeking is a gay son. Anyways, Princess adds one main focus to our team that we can't get anywhere else here. It's a water type, that's it. That's really it. But the question is, why did I add Seeking? And how can Princess be our little powerhouse of her own? A Seeking on its own is just sadly unimpressive in a generation where it's not even really needed. Blastoise alone, I feel, is just arguably the best of the best in Kanto. And if you didn't pick Squirtle as your starter, but Seadra, Kingler, and Golduck, they all are regular evolved water Pokemon with better base stats than Seeking every day of the week. Seeking's attacks means almost nothing when late game is arriving. I won't be even using Horn Attack, so what the hell am I gonna do with Seeking? On top of that, every other awesome water type Pokemon in Kanto just had better dual types. Starmie's Water Psychic, Cloyster's Water Ice, Poliwrath is Water Fighting. These are badass, and there is quite literally every reason to not pick up Goldeen and Seeking whatsoever. Oh, and we didn't even talk about all of these cool Watermons as well. Seeking was outclassed in every category here, and honestly, it's a little depressing. Seriously, we are competing against Gyarados. But while perfect for our team of underdogs, how can we shed that light onto Princess and show everybody the capabilities of her? While we are quite a bit away still, Princess will completely wipe out Blaine. Seriously, in Kanto, if you struggle against Blaine at all, it's just no fault but your own. And on top of that though, we will need Surf to progress through the map and offers a decent move for Princess for a good amount of her lifespan. And then eventually down the line, while we have no reason to use her speed, I mean, she won't even learn agility until level 60, she can eventually learn Horn Drill, hopefully right before the Elite Four, which could kill a non-fire type Pokemon if we really tried. Do we try? Plus, I plan on setting up Rain Dance, Waterfall, and Surf combo, and just for fun, I might try Blizzard instead for a while, but I will rely on her for the Bruno fight, or at least I'm hoping I will rely on her for the Bruno fight, and then one of my only shots at taking out our rival's Charizard, but holy hell, I don't know what will happen in this game. So while pretty much the weakest water type we could possibly have gotten other than Magikarp, of course, but I decided to count that out since we could just easily evolve that to Gyarados, Princess will make a warm welcome for the team, and helps me cope a little bit because we are not getting a fire type at all this game and it's going to be terrible. But after the Safari Zone and grabbing the HM Surf, we decided to pivot from defeating Koga to going back to grind a little bit in Saffron City, a bustling business-filled place with the gigantic Sylph Company, our lovely Sabrina's scary psychic gym, and our first grinding stop at the fighting type training gym, giving a little bit of XP boost to Princess and the entire team, while in the back of our mind, saving money for the dreaded, tedious, you-know-who. But we did defeat the fighting gym trainers, scrambled through whatever the bottom right of the map is, I don't know what this is called, and we gambled a little bit, we gambled a little bit some more. That's what gambling does to you, bruh. Then we sold some valuable items since desperate time calls for desperate measures. We learned strength with Quartz, and then suddenly ended up here. Huh? What? Wait, this is, okay, never mind. Come on, poisonous bitch, I'm ready to go. Oh. We whited out, so. I got back up instantly, of course, from the Pokemon Center, no fear holding my body back. I got back up from me, and me only. Nothing was going to stop this second fight against Koga. He might be the poison ninja here, but I was the one that's venomous. In round 2, I sent out Seeking to deal with Koga's first Pokemon Coughing, and while a little bit underleveled, she did beautifully using a Horn Attack followed by Surf. I swapped her out quickly for our Rock Baby Quartz, and while worried about Muck's broken evasiveness stat boost, after a good Paralyze, Muck poisoned our Rock Snake and amped up the fight hard. To save the struggle, I needed some good accurate stabbing, so I brought out Chiding, and they did so well taking out Muck with a recently learned move Slash, one of the best in our movesets right now. I repeated the same strat on another Coughing, and then a triple kill Slash on Koga's final Wheezing. Not just winning the fight, but dominating compared to last time, snatching us that soul badge. Koga has always been an interesting gym fight for me, and while this challenge was definitely proving not as easy as my other Kanto playthroughs, I was beginning to be really happy with my underdog team. So happy, in fact, that I think it's about time we welcome a new member to our squad again. After selling all of our rare candies for that last bit of money we need, we somehow made over 200,000 Pokédollars, and we adopted the tedious but one and only Porygon. Porygon is one of Pokemon's most infamous creations, being controversial in the 90s and just an oddity in the Kanto region itself, not quite being like any other Pokemon. It was super unique and a seriously fun grind to earn. So I named him Boobs. Porygon is another average normal type with impressively boring base stats. Alongside the annoying way to receive him, the only way, mind you, in the game, he is the worst financial investment a Pokemon trainer could make. Especially already this far into the game, you only get him at level 25, so it does take us a step back, but since we're going to be fighting Gym 5 Sabrina soon, and we just can't catch up quite yet, Porygon is sadly just unimpressive. And for a typical playthrough like we are trying to emulate here in our own weird quirky way, he takes a long time to offer any such of value. I mean, he's not a heavy hitter, he's not a tank or a strategy mastermind, but he is our new friend. Please everyone, welcome Boobs. Princess, welcome your brother Boobs, or your non-binary. Does Porygon have gender? So why did I name him Boobs? As far as our strategy with him goes, this one was a little bit more cut and dry, but still adding some flavor surprisingly to our team. Porygon has the ability Trace, so maybe we can copy Intimidate against Gyarados later on, and Thunder against him. Boobs has a gentle nature, which is oddly fitting, but special defense is cool. I don't think I can take advantage of him fully though in that way, maybe as well as other players could. But I am excited for Tri Attack and a Recover combo. I never got to utilize it before, and I think with Sharpen or some other stat boost, and maybe either Ice Beam or Thunderbolt, Porygon will be able to take out a couple mons by himself in a hit or two if I time it right. Or at the very least, I can ability copy to try to benefit from it and then swap out to our Monarch or Onix depending on the situation, but let's say I have faith in Boobs. You know, if there's one thing I always say, if it ain't up to God, it's up to Boobs. After the immense time it took to get our Porygon, there was actually our next teammate standing right in front of us all along. But we needed something first before we could really set it in stone. An Everstone, that's right. For our 6th and final Pokemon, we are getting an Everstoned Bulbasaur named Benny. Listen, for the longest time before this challenge, I was scrambling through the list of weaker Pokemon to use and to see which ones could craft a difficult but generous team. I thought of Pokemon like Parasect, Gloom, maybe getting some grass, bug, or poison variety in our team. And then I thought long and hard about each option and the backup options I had, but the majority of them were either more normal types, and we don't need more of those, or on top of that, rule number 3 of the challenge meant I couldn't get some of these Pokemon anyway since they would be pretty much the exact same way as Butterfree or Onix or even Farfetch'd, which meant I can't get Mr. Mime, I can't get the Parasect, and I can't get any of the other bug types, essentially. That's when I realized, with all of these problems I was having, and the struggling conscious to decide on the perfectly imperfect team, Bulbasaur seemed to fit every single solution to my concerns. Not only did I know going in that I wanted our rival to have Charizard, because I thought it would just make the game harder, it forced me to get Bulbasaur to begin with. And he was a grass Pokemon, adding that solid addition to our variety of teams that didn't exist. And he aced our rule number 3, which meant we can't catch a Pokemon the same way. This one being, it was handed to us for free. But growing up, he was always the most misunderstood starter to me and my friends. And it seemed like to a lot of the community at that, even though he was technically the first of them all to do it. And while Venusaur I knew would just be cheating for this challenge, I mean, any fully evolved starter would just be a beautiful addition to your team, I felt that having a non-evolved Pokemon on our team felt really right for some reason, at least just one of them. And see, while I could have had the entire team like this, for example, all Magikarps or all unevolved Pokemon, I think that wouldn't be realistic to a childlike perspective going through Kanto. And then also, while I could have had Benny this whole time on our team, I think putting him away in the box, giving him some time to think about who he is, and then finally adding him in last showed my impression of how Pokemon fans treated him growing up essentially. Again, with my friends and online communities, I came to recognize Charizard as the coolest starter Pokemon that everyone picked, even if not necessarily the strongest competitively. I mean, the fire-breathing dragon, what is not cool about him? And then like I said earlier, Blastoise is just badass. I mean, he was one of the best Pokemon to use in this game in my opinion. And then watching the sick Squirtle squad in the show made so many Squirtle fans that day. While all this happened, what was left? No extra love to give to Bulbasaur. But the thing is, my entire life, I loved grass Pokemon. I really did. Every single generation choosing the newest grass type over anything else every time, even before I fully knew what was happening. For example, a little bit of a fun story, when X and Y came out, I was in middle school. All the leaks and new Pokemon came out before the actual game dropped. I saw Chespin and I just fell in love from day one, even though he was arguably the worst starter Pokemon in history. It was often I didn't evolve certain Pokemon in my time. For example, I kept Bayleaf as is in the Johto region just because of how realistic it feels to a story as a trainer. Not everyone will evolve. Not everyone will become the strongest everyone thinks they will be, but they will be the strongest to you and your friendship. So, as I am ready for backlash in the comments, if anyone objects to this decision, I am fully capable and ready. But Bulbasaur will be our final friend in our party. Everyone, please welcome Benny. And with that, we have our final team before continuing on to this journey. Benny the Bulbasaur, Boobs the Porygon, Princess the Sea King, Quartz the Onix, Chiding the Farfetch'd, and of course our team leader, the one and only Monarch the Butterfree. With this team, some small, some large, weak in stats and appearance, we're not going to just beat the game with our strategies, but our hearts and all of our soul. Now, this is where the real adventure begins. We continued to grind with tons of trainers in our quest to become champion. We focused on catching up Benny and Boobs up to our team's average strength. We conquered the teleporting puzzles of the Sylph Co, taking down Giovanni's stronger team this time once again, using all of our team's strength, highlighting the beauty that is Monarch's Dream Eater move, Benny's good use of Sleep Powder here, and Princess's Surf, while obtaining the one and only Master Ball. Shortly after, in the hustle of Saffron's yellow lights, we decided to test our luck with the mental catalyst that is Sabrina. We opened up to her Kadabra, so we had Benny put that bro to sleep and then leech seed that hoe. A couple of Razor Leafs proved worthwhile until that bitch woke up and one-shotted us. I tested Boobs on the battlefield for a hit or two, but ultimately swapped in our offensive line Monarch to get the job done. Sweet dreams, boy. Monarch did the same yet excellent dream strat on Venomoth for Oko. And as our team leader, decided Mr. Mime needed to throw hands with Quartz. In hindsight, what was I thinking doing that? But I told you Monarch was the team leader. Did you not believe what I am telling you? And to no surprise, it didn't work at all and took Quartz right out. So Chiding jumped right in for an overwhelmingly hard-hitting slash. But with confidence high, we tested Chiding's crazy critical hit ability against Sabrina's one and only Alakazam and mastered it perfectly, securing us the Marsh badge. With the team's synergy working so well and our confidence really high, we hightailed it to our next major location, Cinnabar Island. I was in go mode. After the adrenaline of Sabrina's fight, I vowed to run through the final gyms as fast as possible. After being done with Saffron City, we go down back to Fuchsia City since we finally learned Surf, and we can do our short expedition down from Fuchsia, across the sea, destroying Articuno in the process because we don't want any strong Pokemon on our team. We're allergic apparently. I decided to obviously just avoid legendaries in this run, or at least the birds specifically, but also just to see if the weakest team in the Kanto region can take out legendary beings, so we'll definitely be headhunting the rest later. We did go through the caves super quickly though, seeing lots of new Pokemon along the way and reaching a familiar island, the fiery Cinnabar Island. Home full of history and science buffs, Cinnabar Island is the perfect place to learn about fossil Pokemon, us also to fight the fire-using gym leader Blaine, and to discover some newfound genetical lore about a Pokemon named Mew and Mewtwo. I don't know why exactly, but Cinnabar Island has always been both the coolest location lore-wise, sparking that curiosity out of me with Mew and Mewtwo, and this whole idea that the world of Pokemon is more than just fun little creatures to catch and collect, but an evolving species capable of so much more. And explored the Pokemon Mansion learning about the intricacies and creation of Mewtwo. And after enough time, we find the key to the 7th gym to take down Blaine. Oh, yeah, I think I mentioned earlier, but I forgot how easy Blaine was in this game. Even if I didn't have Princess or any water effective damage really, I think Onix would have proved a valiant asset as well, surprisingly. Typically Blaine is just outmatched, since the water types in Gen 1 are not only super strong and fun to use, but they literally surround the island he's on. Meaning, I really think I could create a whole team of Pokemon with just the mons in this city alone and beat Blaine like super easily. But thank you to Princess for securing the Volcano badge. I was shocked. While at the beginning of this whole crusade I had excitement, yet fear poisoning my heart, filling my brain with thoughts of failure. But something kept me from not giving up. From past playthroughs, comparing it to now with this team of underdogs, I've had noticed some crazy differences. The grind and tediousness of leveling up and even obtaining them in the first place, it took exponentially way more time than just a normal playthrough. And as I come up on the final gym leader, Team Rocket's leader Giovanni, known for having some heavy hitters, I was getting worried, not even necessarily about him, but the end of our quest, the Elite Four. And as I've referenced in the past of this video, in the world of the Karate Kid, sometimes when your team is not wax on, wax off, not a team full of proper and equal right and left balances, the mastering of self-defense in a fight, we have to have both our Miyagi defense and learn our offense too. To strike first, to strike hard, to have no mercy.
In this world, is the destiny of mankind controlled by some transcendental entity or law? Is it like the hand of God hovering above? At least it is true that man has no control, even over his own will.
And with that is the Earth Badge. From the legendary joint in the Western Kanto, our team of underrated heroes got their 8th gym badge, meaning the collection is complete. And some of you might be wondering, how long has this whole journey taken yet, albeit we aren't even fully done. I mean, it couldn't have been 24 hours yet. Oh. Rat traps it is, I guess. But we have the final battle to get to. We'll do that later at the end of the video. Immediately after gnawing our way from badge to badge, finally we make our way to Victory Road, being stopped by our rival America once again for our most intense fight yet in the game. And I'll be honest with you, he absolutely destroyed me. I was hyping myself up so much during the final gyms of the game. Sabrina, Blaine, Giovanni, our team was on a hot streak, doing phenomenal work just for this to be our fate. No, this couldn't be. With America's Alakazam, he was gruesome with scary special attack and special defense, and then the enemy of our journey since the beginning, the real team killer, his Charizard. Being his strongest on his team, we actually weren't ready for his Charizard's offensive fighter jet-like power, not only ripping apart most of my members, but even gruesomely defeating even Princess, our destined Charizard killer. What were we to do? I know one loss doesn't mean a permanent wipeout, yes, but would I be living a lie if I were to say this shit didn't terrify me at least a little bit? Let's see, if I got taken out this easily and completely underleveled this far into the game, I'm beginning to grow doubt on myself if I could even finish this challenge. But if you're still watching this video, that means one of two things. One is either continuously trying to beat our rival in the Elite Four, forever not being able to beat them, and I end the video on some failing push, or I push through, grind some extra levels, get some new strategies, and I book it till I'm the champion. And I don't know about you, but only one of those are really an option for me. And my team is not losing anytime soon. We're going on our final training arc. We came right back to a spot so familiar and challenged America once again. Quickly, I found myself making a crucial mistake. When my rival unleashed his Alakazam, he caught me in a little bit of a bind, using Calm Mind to raise both his special attack and special defense one after another. Before I could make another proper attack, his stats became so much higher than mine, already being stronger than my entire team, but Psychic being so broken in Generation 1, he wiped out my team all by himself. This caught a rage in me I think I haven't felt quite yet in this stunt I call an adventure. I whited out back into the Pokemon Center, and I had no time to think. I'm just charging back in there and taking out his special unit Alakazam, getting past him once and for all. Once I can truly get past that one Pokemon, I really think I got this. As I went into my third re-challenge, I saw the confident smirk on this bitch's face, wanting me to know his strength, his control over me. But little does he know, I've been preparing for this moment ever since I caught an old friend named Spearow. I remember when I decided my team for this challenge in the early beginning. I've always had a Farfetch'd in mind. Countless amounts of people all across the internet showcasing the weakest out of the bird Pokemon, all leading back to Farfetch'd. I knew I had to have him, and with the iconic trading encounter for Chiding in this game, one of my first goals in this adventure was to find a suitable Spearow and trade for Chiding. This Spearow was not just another random creature meant for rotting in a box or being let out into the wild. No, this Spearow was chosen by fate just for this rival fight. I knew going into this, none of my team would have excellent enough stats to take on legends like Charizard, Rhyhorns, and especially Blue's Alakazam, except for one Pokemon, Farfetch'd. See, this whole time, he was right in front of our eyes, people. Don't you get it? Monarch is the leader of the whole team. He chose this team, not me. His comrades, his friends for life, and he needed someone who can hit strong in critical situations. You ever wondered why this Farfetch'd was named Chiding? Because he is the critical hit. America's Pidgeot flies in and hits a wing attack. We parry back, slash, critical hit. Rhyhorn rampages into the battlefield. We Swords Dance before our opponent's takedown. We Swords Dance again to another devastating takedown. One simple Hyper Potion and a slash, critical hit. Execute rolls into sight. We slash again, critical hit. Then it's here. Alakazam stands his demonic ground over Chiding as we face our greatest enemy yet in this challenge, and instantly he seeks out a calm mind. But he has not learned, has he? The pain he has forced us to feel. What we endured to get here. Don't worry, we don't even need a critical hit for this one. Slashed, Alakazam pipes down. But it's not over yet. With two more Pokemon to face, America sends over Gyarados, and I let Boobs take over on the battlefield this time, with an immaculate thunder, OHKOing the Sea Dragon. Finally, Charizard soars into the battle. I can smell the gloating right off his sweat, but he doesn't know I've trained Princess to be the Charizard killer. And as he drifts off into the Pokemon League, I have realized my team's full potential here. I had to be ruthless, and our rival taught us that sometimes the best option is to win vigorously. And we look up, head held high into the Indigo Plateau, the victory road that's ahead. I think it's just to reflect on the trials and tribulations of our expedition and understand what it took for us to get here in our final form. Benny being our bashful tyrant little Bulbasaur with the heart of gold ready for battle, filled with grassy moves like Sleep Powder, Synthesis, Razor Leaf, and Solar Beam. Boobs is such a gentle soul, if he even has that. A tedious guy to get, but nonetheless ready to copy abilities and use his skills to recover, sharpen, Thunderbolt, and try attack the opposition. Princess, our naive little queen, but willing to rain dance on the battlefield and use Blizzard, Surf, and Waterfall. Quartz, our lady who's hardy in spirit, using Screech, Iron Tail, Strength, and the ground-shattering Earthquake. Chiding, our critical hit king. He's adamant, but mastering his Fly, Cut, Swords Dance, and of course his Slash, he's an essential to our team at this point. And the leader, not by choice, but by devotion. Monarch is modest, but destroys with his Psychic, Giga Drain, and Sleep Powder, Dream Eater combo. This team has been challenged through endless trials, but we are up against our scariest foes yet. And while these Pokemon are regarded as some of the weakest and less valuable of this region, I think today is where that changes. Today marks the date that they made a name for themselves here. have I done? They weren't strong enough. What do I do? I gave my all as a trainer to my Pokemon. I still believe in them even though they lost. I still believe in them.
The human sacrificed himself to save the Pokemon. I pitted them against each other, but not until they set aside their differences did I see the true power they all shared deep inside. I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are.
My Pokemon have different stats than everybody. They're just naturally not as gifted and talented. But I do know one thing, that they were born the same, and they trained the same, and evolved just the same as everyone else. And for that alone, and for our bond, we will come back stronger and become champion. Lorelei was difficult, but after our training seemed more possible than ever, Boobs took the main stage in this matchup, taking on her Dugong, Cloyster, and even her Slowbro. Her Lapis swooped in, completely taking Boobs down, and unfortunately Penny down as well. That was a crucial mistake on my part. Luckily, Chiding, as our clutch Pokemon, did indeed come in clutch, taking out her powerhouse Lapras, and then wasting no time on her finale, Jinx. You've only got a taste of the Pokemon League's power. Shut up, bitch! We had no time to revel in the glory though, I've learned from last time. Instantly, we healed up our Pokemon and making our way to the combat professional Bruno. He has hard-hitting Pokemon like Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, and Machamp, but I had a special strategy for this fight. We went in with confidence high, but different than last time, we didn't let our guard down. We waited for any tricks up his sleeve. I let Quartz take the lead this time, being our defense, and exactly as our strategy intended, we gave her an X defend. With having the strongest defense in the game, even to Bruno's most powerful moves were only chips off her shoulder. We screeched and KO with an earthquake. After a second Onix comes into the field, we execute our combo again, working perfectly. His Hitmonchan comes in, countering our tank and dropping Quartz down. I thought that was pretty impressive. So we throw in our OG Monarch, the leader, putting Bruno's Pokemon to sleep and dream eating our way to victory. Dropping not just Hitmonchan, but the giant Machamp and Hitmonlee as well. A triple kill, wiping Bruno's team completely with only an Onix and a Butterfree. After this fight, I was riding a battling high. Everything was going according to plan now. That was until I was face to face with Agatha. Agatha as a kid was terrifying and was genuinely the only reason I would even keep an Abra on my team just to defend against her Pokemon. So my battling high came crashing down when she let out her legendary Gengar. Agatha's Gengar took advantage of my one very crucial mistake. After forgetting she would lead with Gengar, I mistakenly led with Boobs the Porygon, forgetting to throw out Monarch. In an attempt to one-up her, she used double team so many times, raising her evasiveness. By the time I switched to Monarch, Gengar was untouchable. She not only confused me, but dodged every single attack, running Monarch's PP dry. Pause. While putting me in a badly poisoned state, the run was looking like it might just end here. That was until Arceus generously gifted me with this one chance. What? It worked! I got a hit in, and that one single hit was all I needed to change the tempo of the battle around. And after 15 entire minutes fighting against just her Gengar alone, I got her down. I finally did. And then we took out her scary Golbat too without too much harm. Arbok fell slightly with some help from a tri-attack, and then Agatha sent out her second Gengar? You can't even imagine how infuriated I was in this fight, in this moment. But with this Gengar, who's even stronger than before, I was done holding back. Anything I had, I was putting on the battlefield. So she put me to sleep, poisoned me, left me broken, but I got to sleep too, healed up Monarch right after that, and used Dream Eater, and after 2 tries, annihilated her. We finished sweeping up the crumbs with her Haunter, and took out the Ghost Master of the Elite Four, Agatha. With 3 Elite Four under my belt now, I felt as though it couldn't be harder than this from here on out. Agatha took 25 whole minutes just to beat her, but we did it. But it did not get easier like I thought. Dragon-type Trainer Lance, the most powerful and intimidating of the Elite Four. This was a true testament to our power, and now we can finally show that we are as strong as everybody else. were doing amazing. While still challenging, we weren't taking Lance down until we got to his final Pokemon, his Dragonite. Although I wouldn't believe it a couple minutes ago, Lance's Dragonite was somehow even harder of a foe than both of Agatha's Gengars combined. This constant back and forth of putting him to sleep, and then him one-hit KOing my team like we were some rookie trainers. This was the scariest Pokemon we've dealt with in our entire journey. And after so long of struggling and trying to revive 2 of my Pokemon over multiple times each, somehow Monarch and Sherding finally cracked open Dragonite's shell and he fainted. The 4 strongest opponents we've faced since leaving our hometown so long ago. And honestly, my heart was racing. But not because we looked back on our previous 4 battles and won the championship, but it was racing with anticipation of what lies next in the room next to ours. Our final battle of this journey truly awaits us beyond this door. Our toughest reminder throughout our adventure was always you, testing our strength, forcing us to go past our limits. And you've always had the upper hand on us, the stronger team, the experience, ahead of us every step of the way. But you forget to remember the one difference between me and you. Every time you've achieved something in this journey of ours, I came right behind you and did it that much better. And that's exactly what I'm going to do now. One of us has to lose. One of us has to fall down. And I can't save us both. We did it! Professor Oak gives us some words of love and truth to this acclamation, saying, "You understand that your victory was not just your doing. The bond you share with your Pokemon is marvelous." And he's right. This whole journey we were constantly reminded how weak we were, always at a disadvantage no matter the level. But genuinely, if our team of underdogs weren't so amped up to get stronger and to prove to themselves, nobody else, that they were good, I would have given up a long time ago. So maybe I did grow a bond with them and train them to be stronger, yes. But they also trained me to be the best that I can be. Thank you, everyone. This was Pokemon FireRed with a team you will never forget. Peace and love. Thank you for watching. And oh yeah, I didn't forget. We didn't do the challenge of beating in 24 hours, so here is me walking on rat traps. Get a close-up on that.
The snake coming.
We should have put these on the ground.
Why do we put them on the... I gotta do
Put it
this?
on the ground quick.
Come on, take your shoes off.
Alright, get me first,
Take your clothes off.
so I can say what the fuck I'm doing. Hey, bro. Can I borrow with me real quick? Hey, bro, I don't gotta do this, right?
Nah, you gotta do this.
Nah, I really don't. Like,
Nah,
it's like a Pokemon video. Like, I don't really have to do that.
Yeah, but think about it though. If you don't do it, then you're letting down your fans.
But they don't even know this is like the video's not even out
I'm
yet.
your fan.
Yeah, but think about your fans. What would your fans want to see?
Oh, broke?
Oh.
I guess it broke.
Nah,
I guess I don't have to do it. Is that one?
no.
So you put on both?
Nah, I just snapped both of them.
Do it for Pokemon. They need this right now. Their card game is losing money.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
are we doing both or just one?
You want to do both?
That's up to you. Do you want to do both?
No, I don't want to do both.
What does JV want?
I think you should do.
Are you a vengeful man or a merciful man?
Yeah, it's up to you, cameraman. JD.
I think you should do both.
No, don't put them that far apart.
I'm hearing a whole lot of yapping.
It's a bunch of pain.
What'd you say?
You gotta locate it on your foot in one specific spot.
What'd you say? Happy Black History Month?
Happy Black History Month.
Damn, bro, you
This is called reparations. What would
What
Piccolo do?
What would Pikachu do?
All right, the joke's over. Like I don't gotta do this, right?
You got to do this.
I don't gotta do this. Like,
You got to do this.
The joke's over. It was funny. We bought the mouse traps, and the video's done. It's over an hour long. I don't need to do it.
No, you got to do it. You got to finish it. You got to top it off.
I
5,
don't want to get my pinky in.
4.
Nah, don't count down. Don't count down.
What are you nervous?
Yeah, I'm nervous.
What are you, a girl or something?
Yeah.
No.
Don't be a bitch!
You
We gotta do it again.
the clip of my face. Wasn't that bad.
Wasn't that bad because you didn't get your foot on it. All right, folks. This is the face of a man who's determined to make his life a living hell.
Don't you like it when I'm bad? Damn, that one hurts more.
I bet, because you actually got in that motherfucker.
Yeah, it's like a 7.5 out of 10. That shit actually hurt more. Here, come over and try it. If you like this video, let me know. I'm never using these again.